Promise number 2, dismantling the federal government, is by far the biggest initiative of Project 2025. All the other dominoes will fall into place after this is accomplished. It's a brilliant plan, both in design and execution. The first step is to replace all leadership and staffing positions with conservative political appointees that are believers in Project 2025. Secondly, Project 25 initiatives will drive all the decisions, the regulations, and laws. It's pretty simple. Put in leadership, and then all decisions are written down on what you want to accomplish. A little bit of history. These ideas are not new and have been around for decades. Far-right groups like the Heritage Foundation have just been waiting in the wings for a leader with a cult following to implement a takeover. Trump is the schmuck they've been waiting for. So for the last 3 years, they've assembled a detailed instruction plan to take over the government. Trump doesn't care. He probably doesn't know the majority of stuff in Project 2025. He just wants to be a permanent dictator. The Chief of Staff, this one here, is the most powerful position in the government. He is appointed by the president, and he can stay in power from administration to administration. His sole responsibility is the execution of Project 25, put leaders in place in the councils and cabinets, and direct their activities and strategies based on what is written in Project 25. Russell Vought is under consideration for this. He is the architecture for Project 2025, so who better to put in place in the Chief of Staff position? There are 3 other boxes I want to talk about in detail later. One is the Office of House Counsel, White House Counsel. The second is the Office of Political Affairs. And we've touched on this before, the conservative Supreme Court. If that is in place, then they can do anything they want to take over the government. As mentioned before, Russell Vought is to be the first choice for this position. He would be appointed by President Trump. Who better implement the Project 25 initiatives than the architect behind them? Because it is an appointed position, he could remain in power from administration to administration. The individual in this position will be able to imprint their beliefs into the American government. So what does Russell Vought believe? These are the discussions I've seen on the internet concerning him. You'll want to do your own research, but if true, this is really scary stuff. He believes in no separation of church and state. He has particularly contempt for poor and poor programs to help them. He would infuse Christian nationalism into the government. This is very dangerous. And any protests that would be sparked by these initiatives, he would break up using the Insurrection Act. The Office of White House Counsel reports to the President. External legal challenges to laws and actions of the new government would be immediately challenged by this organization. With the full funding and staffing of the government, all cases could be taken to the corrupt conservative Supreme Court, where the court would rule in favor of Trump's or Project 25 ideals government. This is why control of the Senate is so important in the next 4 years, as 3 justices will retire and the Senate will be able to confirm justices that follow the law. Additionally, Trump could use this team for his own personal lawyers to keep him out of criminal trouble. Remember, he already has partial immunity as a president. To remain in power, the Office of Political Affairs would meet this objective. It would be a full-time staff working with states to help keep and get conservatives elected. There would be gerrymandering initiatives and voter suppression actions. This would give the conservatives a tremendous advantage to staff the government with their hand-picked candidates. So how do we stop this? We get out and vote. Like real estate, where location, location, location are the three most important things, in a democracy, it's vote, vote, vote. It's a given we must win and keep the presidency. But number two is the Senate is so important over the next 4 to 8 years. There's going to be 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices retire. A Democratic Senate majority can appoint justices that follow the law and negate the conservative, corrupt justices that'll be in the existing court. If Republicans win the Senate, the conservative court will remain conservative well into the 2050s. Really dangerous for our country. Also, winning back the House of the Representatives will allow the Democrats to really give their full attention for policies for the American people. Again, get out and vote.